Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fun Comic Book. I'm the Fun Comic Book Guy, and today I'm going to do my weekly review of my pull list of comics and discuss a little bit about some of the items that are included in each comic, some of the storylines, where things are going, my thoughts, and a kind of, letter grade that I'll give them along with the pick of the week. I did want to do this video earlier, but due to the weather in the Northeast over the past couple of days, uh, my comic book shop was not open when I wanted to go, so it was a day late in getting the books, but I tore through them pretty quickly. I didn't have a huge pull list this past week, and the books that I did read, none of them were, tough reads or something that required a lot of sit-down time to pour through them. So with that said, let's get through the books. And in no particular order, we're going to start with Marvel Star Wars, the Halcyon, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Legacy. The Halcyon is the best star cruiser in the galaxy, and it is celebrating its 275th anniversary. And with that, it is being attacked by pirates, of course. And what we are being set up with is kind of like an anthology of different storylines that occur throughout the Star Wars histories that the comics are, I think, concerned with. We start back early on with with the first time was attacked by the Nihil pirates that are being discussed in Star Wars, The High Republic. So this book was good. Again, the storyline's a little forced, of course, but that's what's to be expected with comics. I really would have wished that I got a little bit more background about some of the characters talking about this. I guess we will in future comics. Uh, you know, there wasn't really much setup other than here we are on a starship and oh, we're being attacked by pirates, and oh, let me tell you a story about when we were also attacked by pirates. So it's a little on the shallow side when it comes to the depth of the story, but I think it's an interesting idea. I give this a solid B. Next one is also a Star Wars book, Star Wars Crimson Reign issue 2. This was written by Charles Soule and art by Stephen Cummings. This picks up where the last issue left off. Kira is going to get some bounty hunters to kind of, move the chess pieces where she wants to see them. It's really the story of the two bounty hunters, why they do what they do. I shouldn't say bounty hunters. I think they're just assassins. I'm probably misspeaking when I call them bounty hunters. They're assassins, and one is going after someone who's stuck in, in the midst of the birth of the rebellion, and another one who is, you find out to be one of the Crimson Guards. So this was very interesting, a very cool story. It took a little while to pick up, and it did have a little bit of a lull when it went into, well, why do people do what they do, and give each of some of the characters and here's some of the assassins some backstory. I thought that it was good. I was a little apprehensive about this one because it is supposed to be we're now in the second part of the trilogy that started with the War of the Bounty Hunters and is now in Crimson Reign. This book actually did start to pick up the pace a little bit. Gave it a B+. I think that this trilogy is worth read. If not in single issues, definitely will be in trade. Another Star Wars book, Star Wars The High Republic, where we are on 14 now. Wow, it's just like yesterday I was picking up the first issue. Here we're back, we're still on the storyline with the Nihil. We left on a cliffhanger where the leader was about to get lightsabered, and you could probably guess that didn't quite happen. But everything looks good, and then, of course, more chaos ensues. This is a good bridge issue. I thought that it was um, like the previous book, really picked up in the end. There's quite a bit of action. There's quite a little bit of more politics going on. The reason why this didn't score higher for me was the fact that it had um, still some of those elements of Jedi self-doubt and such, but the writing by Kevin Scott and art by Ario and Dito was quite good. I gave this one a solid B plus, just shy of an A minus. An old favorite, Spawn, number, where are we? Where are we with Spawn now? 326. Written by Corey McConville and art by Carlo Barbieri. This book was a little bit, probably out of all the books I read, the one that I may have had the most, the hardest time getting through. One is you have to approach this book with a good amount of Spawn history. I had only known about one of the characters here, Haunt, because I remember when Haunt came out, and I have that comic book involving Haunt, and I don't know much of what happened to him later on. I don't know a lot of some of the other elements that have been going on in the Spawn series for quite a while. So I just recently got back into Spawn, and this one I definitely felt like a fish out of water. That shouldn't be a reason why it should be given a bad grade, but there wasn't a lot that I felt was going on. There was like some reveal as to what conspiracies are going on. I think the next issue is where things are really going to kick off and pick up. This actually got the lowest grade of the pack. I hate to give some spoilers out, but it got a B minus. So you should realize how good some of the books were this week if this was the lowest. Moving on to other indies. New Masters, number 1. This is what sci-fi is about. This is written by Shobo Coker, and the art is by Shaf Coker. That was a really good book. This was almost the pick of the week. I just found out that this is a part of a limited series. It'll be in trades. It's got incredible depth and world building behind it. It basically follows the story of somewhere in the distant future, a bunch of people, and I would say, smugglers and others are trying to make ends meet in a world where different elements, of course, are prized, and they're trying to get stuff from, trying to excise those materials from other sites and ores and things like that. But there's a lot going on here, a bit of politics, a bit of social commentary. This is one of these books where I may not continue it in singles, but will read it in trade. This is dense. I would love to see a book like this as a book, as a novel, as a series. But I think that as a comic, there's a lot going on in here. They do a great job of basically just immersing you in this world. But still, they give a little bit of backstory at the end about the Jovians, who are, a race of aliens that come into play here. And I think more will shake out later, but I think I'll probably end up reading this in trade. I gave this one an A minus, just short of being pick of the week, but a really good book. Moving on to DC, we have our good friend Batman. This is Batman number 120 by Joshua Williamson, art by Jorge Molina. This continues the Abyss storyline. You find out more and more what's going on with Abyss and how it's related to Lex Luthor. And of course, Lex Luthor double crossing and then finding out another double cross. Batman gets in contact with the Batman Inc. group, breaks them out, and we find out that, of course, Abyss isn't dead. So, uh, this was this was again another good book. All the books that I read this week, it was just good book after good book, but nothing that was really just like standing out. However, this I gave this one a solid B plus. The only problem I had was I think it should have been split up into two issues. One dealing with more or less what Luther going up against Abyss, and then the next issue about the breakout. But still, went by pretty quickly, and I'm looking forward to seeing this story arc conclude. Batman 120. Also coming out from DC, Dark Knights of Steel #4. This limited series, again, as I mentioned before, is essentially DC meets Game of Thrones. This book was great in that it provided backstory. It definitely provided some backstory to what happened and how Jor-El became king, what happened to the Waynes, Bruce's origin. All those elements were really discussed in here. There's very little movement, if any, in the overall plot of this story. This was purely just background, and it's good to take a little bit of a lull. Like, and we're 1/3 of the way through the story, kind of like a little intermission, end of an act. Let's go over that. It would have, I think, been suited a little bit better if we had continued to progress the story on a little bit and had this backstory sprinkled throughout the next couple of issues to give us a better idea as to the world that we're dealing with. But we finally meet the Green Man, and we know who he is, and he is an amalgamation not of one, not of two, but of three characters. And it really is a very interesting foe. Not what I expected at all. So hats off to the writers on this. Who wrote this one? It was Tom Taylor and art by Bengal. So this again was another contender for pick of the week. Again, I really just wish that it was just this storyline sprinkled throughout more issues rather than just, okay, we're going to put the brakes on the storyline in general and do a retrospective as to, let's give some origin and backstory here. But still, I think this is one of the best limited series from DC that I've read in a while. I am going, unless they really, really screw up in the next couple of issues, I will see this one to the end. Of course, we can't talk about last week's pull without the Amazing Spider-Man #88 by Zeb Wells, art by Michael Dowling. This is the official first appearance of the Queen Goblin. It was a really good setup. It was a really good story. It very fast paced. I think that's probably one of the things that I didn't like, is that everything happened so quickly. There wasn't a build-up. Usually you would hope with some of these type of new characters, especially ones that have been talked about for a while, you would get a little bit of some sort of sense that they're coming, very reminiscent of when Doomsday was coming, just seeing the fist punch against the wall and just a little bit here and there, and then the big reveal. This was just basically on the coattails of the last issue, and I know that there's more to this. They do highlight a couple of references to the origins of the sin that was able to be used to generate the Queen Goblin, and of course who she is. But really, it's a fight that involves three of the main characters in the storyline, and at the end of the day, we're left on a cliffhanger where Mary Jane Watson is now facing up against the Queen Goblin. This again was another contender for pick of the week. It was again really good, really fast paced, but again maybe a little bit too fast paced. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more going on with the generation of this new character, rather than, oh, here she is and let's throw her out. The Beyond Corporation, of course, is just becoming much more and more diabolical in its scheming. But I think that this series, this arc with the Beyond story, has had some great hits, including this one, and some misses. But I think overall, the pacing is just not there. There's some storylines that I feel are being held across, too many issues, and other ones that are just done and dusted in one. So there's just not, that pacing isn't there, and I think that might be coming across with having Amazing Spider-Man release every single week. And I'm just talking the main issues, the dot issues. I think there's one coming out next week. Again, are an addition. So hopefully we'll see more about this. I think the Beyond story's got a couple more months in it. But this was, again, another contender, solid A-, but a solid contender for pick of the week, but just didn't make it. And like I said, this week it was just full of good comics. Nothing really bad, but nothing also standing out and stellar. They all kind of fell in that same range. So Lives of Wolverine #2, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Joshua Cassara. This picks up where we left off with Lives of Wolverine #1, in which Wolverine is being psychically sent back in time to stop the death of Charles Xavier and avert other issues being caused by Omega Red. The art is fantastic in this. There was a lot going on here. I mean, it's not just Wolverine in one of his lives. I think he's over the course of 3 in here. And you see where Omega Red is definitely trying to, one where he's directly trying to kill the Xavier bloodline, and others where he is taking host in different parts of Wolverine's life. But it's also introducing the idea that Wolverine now is in control of what's going on, and he identifies the life that he hated the most, the type of person that he was before Weapon X, when he was just basically a government, trained assassin, or part of a group with Sabretooth, just going in and affecting world nations and all sorts of things. He's also going back to Japan, seeing his wife, who's also being infected by Omega Red. It's tough. There's so much going on in here. I can't believe that it packed that much story into this one book. But again, I was really, really pleased with how things went with it. And I gave this one anywhere from an A- to an A. Probably will still, wouldn't give it an A+, but it is the pick of the week now. And that's it. The only book that I didn't get that would have been on my pull list, and will be part of the review for next week, is Daredevil with the Woman Without Fear #2. I forgot to pick that up, but I'll do that next week if it's still on the shelves. But that being said, overall a pretty good week. Hopefully some of the stories will just act as bridges and pick up with some major reveals in future issues. I'm looking at you, Star Wars. And other books will hopefully continue on with the momentum and maybe give a little bit more backstory, but still propelling the plot forward. But this has been my weekly review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, comments, or would like to discuss what some of my viewpoints here, just write them down in the comment section below. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. I talk about Funkos, comic books, and novels, do some unboxings, reviews, things of that nature. So if that's something you're interested in, again, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next week for another comic book review. Thank you.